So I used to be a designer. So we're going to talk to you about assessing the value of design research, which is actually really about assessing the value of research, and really should be called Who Cares? Who gives a damn? And the reason that's where we really should be starting is that what we look at and what's happening in research in New Zealand, this is quite a different change of pace to a lot of the other presentations, so you'll see where this goes. We're interested in actually truly who cares. So first of all, in any project, whether it be a design project or any other project, you get inputs, then you get activities happen, and then you get outputs. And you write that up in your PBRF portfolio and everybody's happy. But what I was interested in is, so what happens after the outputs? What are the outcomes of that? What actually happens then? And even more important from our perspective, and what impact was it? Actually, who cares? What difference did it make? And did it make a difference to New Zealand? So that's what our project's about. And what do I have to do here? Okay, so there you go. Inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, and impact. And we're interested in the last point. So, and there's just a short definition for you. You can read that yourself. We believe this is going to become a lot more important. There's a lot of movement towards understanding the value of the billions of dollars that go into research, and understanding how that's actually going to be measured is quite important to us. We do make a point that this isn't a measure of excellence or quality, it's a measure of the effect on that. Just a little bit of the boring stuff there. Why would we care? As a TEO, TEC has expectations of us that we're working with our communities, with organisations and businesses. We have a strong external community and organisation focus, and we're a firm believer in undertaking research and enterprise that meets the current needs of our businesses and organisations who we work with. We want to direct.
Can you just explain PBRF and REF? We've got some industry people in the audience as well.
REF is Research Excellence Framework. It's the United Kingdom equivalent to New Zealand's PBRF system. The New Zealand PBRF system is performance-based research funding, which is run by the Tertiary Education Commission, and basically dishes out or distributes money amongst the different tertiary education institutions according to the research performance over the previous period of time, previous 6 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, as part of showing the value of the research activities that are undertaken, research and enterprise activities, we realised that we needed to build an impact assessment tool, and that's actually what this discussion is about. This is going to feed back the effect, the impact, the who cares, and the did it matter of the projects that we do. And we're talking about projects right across the Polytechnic, whether they be student projects, staff projects, commercial projects, and so on. And Lesley is going to explain to you what it is we've done. So there you go. I should introduce Lesley Brook, is Research and Project Assistant at the Otago Polytechnic. This is me. Thanks.
Thank you, Alistair. So yes, I'm going to talk about what we are doing at Otago Polytechnic. Alistair sort of gave me the challenge a year ago, and this is what we've done in the year since then. So starting with the principles that we've adopted, as Alistair's already mentioned, we're talking about student projects as well as staff. We know anecdotally that our student research is having an impact as well, so we wanted to include that. It's every discipline across the Polytechnic, so it includes design, obviously, which we're very strong in, but also everything from sort of art to engineering and IT. We've taken a prospective approach rather than retrospective, which is what the United Kingdom has done, has looked at the retrospective model. We've chosen a prospective model because, for several reasons, but one of the key ones is that it gives us good baseline data to measure what difference we have actually made. So that was important. We've adopted 4 different impact types. The economic, environmental and social, the triple bottom line, commonly known as. We've added in cultural because the Tertiary Education Commission included those 4 as types of impact which they are likely to consider in the 2018 PBRF round as part of the research contribution component of that. We wanted to look at up to 3 impacts per research project. Any more than that we felt wouldn't be a good use of our researchers' time, wouldn't be as significant. Up to 3 indicators of success per impact. That's important because they provide different indicators of success will provide different perspectives about whether impact has been achieved. Some impacts are more easily measurable than others. Some will be able to be measured directly. Others will have to look at indirect measures around the degree of uptake that there has been and the likelihood that the anticipated impact will actually be achieved. So then at the end of the research project, that will be reviewed by the researchers because there may be some changes in the anticipated impacts from the start to the end of the research project. And then there will be a further review after the period of time when the impacts are expected to have been achieved. So those are the general principles. We're then developing a database tool, which is still in development stages, but we're going to use the testing in the next 2 weeks. Just ironing out a few wrinkles at the moment. Most of you, I think, certainly in the tertiary institutions, will already have databases that record research outputs, and we had one of those, but that was not going to be adequate for this purpose, so we had to build something new. And as part of that process, it will prompt researchers to rate the magnitude of the impacts that they anticipate will be achieved from that project, looking at how big a difference it will make, how likely it is that that impact will be achieved, and also how widespread the effects will be. And the fourth factor there is also contribution, because we recognise that there will be other factors that will contribute to the impact we have. The database will obviously have searching and reporting functionalities as well, mainly for Alistair and I. And we recognise that, this is a new terminology for our researchers, and we need to provide some support and training for that. And to assist with that process, we've identified 4 different pathways to impact. And I was really interested to hear what Carl and Anna were saying before about public engagement and partnerships, because that is key, I think, to achieving impact. It's not simply a matter of publishing a paper and saying, right, well, it's out there in the big wide world, it can go and do its own thing. And that was the other key reason why we wanted to have a prospective approach, is because it enables our researchers to plan how they can maximise the impact by engaging with the intended beneficiaries of that research right from the outset. And ensure that we're delivering something that is in the right language and the right medium for that audience. So the 4 pathways to impact, the first one is knowledge brokers. That's a generic term which could mean, for example, if your impact is for the employees of a business, you could be dealing with the employer as a knowledge broker. The DHB might be a knowledge broker if you're looking at patients. A residents' association could be a knowledge broker if you're looking at a particular suburban community. Direct engagement is often where you're working directly, for example, with a business, and you might be designing a product that that business is going to be selling. So that's an example of direct engagement. Informing policy is one that I think will be quite important, particularly for our health disciplines at Otago Polytechnic, where a lot of the work they're doing is around influencing local government, central government, or nursing council, midwifery council, and so on. And public engagement is more, I guess, in the exhibition space, where you're inviting the public to come and engage with the work that you have done, and inviting them to, respond, and hoping to influence and grow the cultural capital, perhaps as a result. So that's an outline of the process. We're going to make some support people available by the start of next year. We'll need to set new expectations for our senior students as well, and we hope to establish best practice about how to maximise impact as a result. So just briefly, I want to apply that, and I know I'm doing it retrospectively because we didn't have the tool when this project happened. This is a project which was initiated by Caro McCaw in 2013, and it's the Vogel Street area, which has already been referred to by Noel Waite earlier today. And this was a part of Dunedin which a few years ago was quite run down. It had previously been a commercial centre, but it was quite run down, and the project culminated in a street party, the first of the street parties in 2013, and different teams of students worked on different aspects of the overall visitor experience. So there were some, Richard's students I think did develop the food from the old A&P show because the A&P Society Hall was in that block. Another team put together a newspaper, another team worked on branding the event, others were bringing alive the history of the area in different ways. And you can see...
Was there couch burning?
No, there was no couch burning as far as I'm aware. I didn't go to the street party in 2013, but those are people at the party.
It's not flashbacks, Jamie.
So it was a community event, and applying, I guess, our new principles retrospectively, I think there were probably two main types of impact. One is environmental, because it's reclaiming that urban landscape for a new generation and helping to open it up to bring the people back into that space. And the second main impact was social. So for that very first street party, there were about, I think, 700 people came to that, and they were provided with an experience which helped to communicate the culture and the history of the place as well as interacting with each other. Now, since then, Noel mentioned, I think, 10,000. I spoke with Glenn Hazelton at the City Council last week, and he thinks there's more like 15,000 people came to this year's street party. There are a lot more new businesses in the area, and top right you can see a picture of the seating which actually Otago Polytechnic has produced for the City Council, and there's a film by Veronica Stevenson produced by her, which is in the exhibition at this symposium, about the creation of those seats. And hopefully by the end of the symposium tomorrow we'll have sound going on that video so that you can hear the interviews as well. So that's so I guess over the past 2 years since that first street party, there are now also economic benefits. There were 24 food vendors at this year's street party and 45 entertainers, all of whom received financial benefit from being there, plus the continued growth in the environmental and the social benefits as well. So it's great to see, looking back from 2 years, you can see there was probably much more impact than I suspect Caro had hoped for, looking for impacts at the end of the student project. That's us. But we're going to have questions right at the end. Cool. Thank you.